Friday Live here on Nebraska Public Media. We are broadcasting this week from the Fox Theater in McCook. You can hear our great audience who is here with us today. McCook strong, man. I love it. I'm Genevieve Randall. We'll check in with a couple of arts organizations here in McCook. We'll also meet our live musicians today as well. Oddly, two different banks will be referenced in today's show. Hopefully this tease generates some interest. I worked on that 5 seconds. We start with a singer-songwriter here today who's from Sutherland, Nebraska, who has several private gigs coming up, but always has gigs, it seems like, all the time. He also plays at nearly every venue imaginable all over Nebraska, as well as touring outside the state. And later, we get to hear a brand new song that he will release on October 24th. Yeah. Rascal Martinez hails from Sutherland, Nebraska, and was featured on the Nebraska Public Media series Jam, showcasing homegrown music and artists in Nebraska. Right now, Rascal Martinez sings his song, This Door, here on Nebraska Public Media's Friday Live.
Standing here outside this door, it's a place that I've been before, and I know how this will end. I'm contemplating my next step. My mind knows, but my heart don't know it yet. How it gets. Say, how are you? How much good would this do? I tell myself that I'm not crazy.
Performance live here in McCook at the Fox Theater from Rascal Martinez. That's his song, This Door, here on Friday Live. We'll get to hear another original song here in a few minutes. First, we get to chat with Rascal. Thanks so much for coming to McCook to be part of our show.
It's good to be here. How are you guys? Yeah. It's good to be here. Thanks so much for having me out.
Oh, absolutely. So you have a new album coming out, October.
Yes.
Tell me about this.
So we're going to be releasing some singles for a little while. So this new song called Don't Even Know You, I'll play you in just a minute. But the music video for that comes out next Friday, October 24th. So be out on YouTube, and then we'll drop the song hopefully in November.
So Rascal, I'm curious. I was thinking, how does it work now that people are buying like single tracks in digital formats? Do you still create a whole album of songs, like a concept? Is there album art at a complete package?
If I had my way, I would just release the whole record in one thing. But I feel like anymore, people just want to hear that one song off the record. So I like to release just singles because that way it's just more traction when it comes to, I just give them something fresh every month for the next couple months. So yeah.
So I think I'm going to take care of a little station business. I have more questions for you, but I think I'll do that. We'll hear the new song, and then we'll chat again.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Should we play it? I don't know.
I think we'll play it. Hang on, I'm going to do one station business bit here first, and then I'll let you play, Rascal. You are listening to Friday Live on Nebraska Public Media, and if you just tuned in, we are coming to you live from McCook at the Fox Theater. Support for programming comes from The Ross. Opening tonight is Urchin, the story of a young addict living on the streets of London, given a shot at redemption. His odyssey sees him balancing a sense of community with his own itch for self-destruction. And Strange Journey, a documentary tracing the creation and lasting cultural impact of the cult musical, The Rocky Horror Picture Show, theross.org. And now that we've taken care of station business, here is another tune live from the Fox Theater in McCook, written and performed by Rascal Martinez here on Friday Live. This is Don't Even Know Ya.
I don't even know ya. I don't even know your name. I don't even know you anymore. I don't know you anymore. I don't know what happened. I thought it was all on me, thinking you're something when you're not. You keep on drinking, you keep on telling your lies. The liquor keeps burning on down. The liquor's burning you down. I don't even know ya. I don't even know your name. I don't even know ya anymore.
Singer-songwriter Rascal Martinez. He is from Sutherland, Nebraska, and that's a preview there of a new release coming out October 24th. We heard his song, Don't Even Know Ya. Okay, so not only are you writing songs, Rascal, playing gigs all over the place, did you buy a bank?
Yeah, apparently you can buy banks these days. That's what happens. When the bank don't give you money, you just buy the bank. That's what happens. That's what we do. No, yeah, so I was looking for an office space a couple years back, and I found this bank in Sutherland, my hometown. It was a bank back from like 1910 to the 70s, and so bought that, and me and my family, we restored it and made a recording studio there. We have a lot of small showcases like intimate concerts, and that's where I record all my records. So this whole new record's coming out. It's all recorded in the 1910 bank, so...
That's amazing. Yeah. Sutherland's a town of 1,200 people, roughly speaking?
Yeah, too many people. No, it's just the right size. I tell people I travel a lot, and most people when I'm like out of town, like in New York or California, they don't know where Nebraska's at, let alone where Sutherland's at. But I always tell them, like, it's a type of town where you can stop in the middle of the road and have a conversation with the other car, and people just go right around. That's the kind of town I like to live in. So.
That's right, yeah. So this is Stolen Vault Records that we're
Stolen
talking
Vault
about. I
Records,
like the
so, yeah.
reference to the bank. That's
Yes.
good. Not only do you have place to record, a place to practice in, a place for other bands to practice in, you have session musicians available
I do.
in
yes.
your town of Sutherland, Nebraska. Did I see Jonah Bennett on this list?
Jonah Bennett, he's
an amazing bass player, you guys.
He is an incredible bass player. So we have, a lot of drummers, a lot of bass players, and keyboard players. I got a lot of people that we can that we work on projects with. So
You're an industrious man, Rascal. You certainly keep yourself busy. Did you know that Stolen Vault is not the only bank building that will be referenced in the show today?
no, there's another
I
band.
feel like banks are the new spaces for art. Like maybe that's just what we do.
That's right. Just buy a bank.
Any story you want to tell before I let you go behind the two songs that we just heard?
Yeah, so this door was written back in like 2015. It's kind of a story where I was a little lost, and it's just kind of that, just a reference to finding, something that you thought that was behind that door, and that just really wasn't. So, and then Don't Even Know You is a song that I wrote about a friend of mine going through a divorce, and her husband had a lot of drinking problems. So, the music video to that, we shot it in a couple days, and I had a hometown there in Sutherland that we shot it at somebody's house that we know, and I think you guys will really like the music video. There's a lot of depth to it, and really excited to release the song. So thank you so much. I really appreciate all the support too. So, and I appreciate you guys, Nebraska Public Media. Give it up for them, everybody. We love you guys. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Good job. Rascal Martinez, ladies and gentlemen. He is the proprietor of Stolen Vault Records, a singer-songwriter with a new release coming out October 24th. There is more live music later in our show this week, and a project that explores connections between poetry and music that's connected a McCook poet with Opera Omaha, so that's a statewide connection. That and more are all ahead here on Friday Live. The Friday Live Extra is a digital online-only podcast extra that we produce each week in conjunction with the show. It's a little extra conversation about the arts and humanities in Nebraska. This week it's 3 conversations: the world premiere of a new play, an award-winning blues musician coming to Nebraska, and my extended conversation with actor Zahn McLaren from last week's show. You can listen to the Friday Live Extra on our website at nebraskapublicmedia.org/Friday Live. Support for programming comes from Hastings College. For students navigating the college search, Hastings offers a place where every student is known and essential. At Hastings College, your place matters. Information at hastings.edu. And support comes from the McCook Gazette, serving Southwest Nebraska for 114 years as a regional influence grounded in a proud heritage of community journalism. More at mccookgazette.com. In 2021, McCook became home to a new arts organization looking to boost contemporary art and culture in the region. The Sixth Floor Project was founded by Chad Graff and Joanne Falkenberg, both Nebraska natives with a deep appreciation for the arts community. The project has since expanded in 2023 with the opening of Art Bank, which has entered its second full season this year. The project now operates in 2 buildings and hosts youth art programs, artist-led exhibitions, cultural events, music performances, workshops, community gatherings, and more, all at no cost to the public. And I'm here with co-founder Chad Graff to talk about this amazing project. Chad, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for coming to McCook.
Thank you so much. You've got fans in the audience, Chad. I love it. We had a chance to walk through the space, and it's truly amazing. It's a bank building. How did you come to own a bank yourself? We heard from Rascal, and now it's your turn.
Yeah, so we started on the 6th floor of the Keystone, in an empty space and the tallest space in the community, and we looked across the street, and then there was a bank for sale. When I was growing up, it was First National Bank, then it became Wells Fargo Bank, and then it had been empty since 2016. And to us, it looked like it was always meant to be a contemporary art space. So.
Now, you put on some miles between going different places like Nebraska, Arizona, California, Paris. Do you operate a gallery in Paris?
We did for a while.
You did for a while?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was wondering how you divided your time between these places, but if you've come home to McCook for good, then that answers my question. How has living in all those different places affected your relationship with artists and the arts?
Well, I think something we know is that art and artists make us healthier people and make us healthier, more inclusive communities. And so getting around lots of places, we were really moved by, seeing arts infusing the culture on the Navajo Nation, or seeing artists with disabilities have a platform for their voices and communications at Creative Growth Arts Center in Oakland, California. And so our vision was to really bring that lived experience back home to where we'd grown up, and that's why we're here.
So last night, as we walked around the space, we saw work by Shanto Begay, who is from Arizona, the Navajo Reservation, yes?
Yes.
There's also an artist, Emery Blagden, who is a Nebraska artist. How have folks like this, as well as the Creative Growth Arts Center in California, affected you? How's that affected the track of your career here?
Well, Emery Blagden, that incredible story in of himself that, there's a beautiful documentary that Kelly Rush and others made about his history of creating an installation on a shed on his family farm that he called the Healing Machine, that he felt brought healing energy to himself, and people could feel that energy, and it wasn't clear he ever called himself an artist. It wasn't clear I don't believe he ever sold any of his work, but he had to make that, and I think that's that's the most inspiring kind of artist you meet is somebody who has to make their work to communicate with us. And Shanto follows in that, on those footsteps. He grew up in the Navajo Reservation, removed to boarding school, taught that his culture was wrong, taught that had to have his hair cut, his language taken away, all those things. And he tells us art was a way that he saved his life and was able to hold on to his cultural identity. And so when you're following in the footsteps of people like that, you're fearless.
There's a piece in the space that's this kind of organic round shape, and it's wrapped and wrapped and wrapped and wrapped. And there's a beautiful picture of the artist who created that work hugging one of her pieces. Can you tell us more about her, how you came in touch with her artwork and who she is?
Yeah, Judith Scott. So that's a sculpture by the artist Judith Scott, who was removed from her twin sister and taken out of her home when she was 7 years old, institutionalized for more than 3 decades because she had Down syndrome. In those institutions, they never picked up on the fact that she was deaf. She was actually quite intelligent, and she had something to say, but she had no verbal or sign language to say it with. Her twin sister goes and gets her out of the institutions, brings her to live with her in Mill Valley, California, brings her to Creative Growth Arts Center, where she finds her voice through making these wrapped cocoon-like sculptures where she would take found materials and wrap with thread or wire, and incredibly profound art that's in museums all around the world today. And I tell kids, here's somebody who's treated like she didn't have any value, and she left us this incredible body of work that was really her way of communicating with us and leaving a legacy with us.
What was your first connection with art ever?
My mom. She used to take art classes at the college and do art at home. So I knew that art was a way that we could express ourselves. And when we would travel, she would take us to art spaces and those kinds of things. Yeah.
So with the Sixth Floor Project and the Art Bank, what's important to you about keeping these community events free and open to the public?
We want to be completely welcoming and opening and inclusive, and we don't want anybody to have reason not to come in the door. And that's why, it's incredible to see kids come in and leave their phones behind and engage in the making of art for a couple of hours and feel powerful in a space that they haven't had before.
I've been talking here with Chad Graff, who is co-founder of Sixth Floor Project and Art Bank, located right here in McCook. not far from where we're actually sitting today. Quick shout out to Ryan Kramer, artist and curator at the Cambridge Museum, and to Linda Buck, who is site manager at the Museum of the High Plains, for talking this up to my coworker Andy Herman, because it's really fantastic. It was great to visit. And if you'd like to know more about when the gallery is open, more info about the numerous workshops and gatherings that they host, you will be able to find that link through our website on the Friday Live page at nebraskapublicmedia.org. Chad, thank you so much for chatting with me, and thanks for what you do for the arts.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming.
You're listening to Friday Live from Nebraska Public Media, telling your stories from the places we call home. Annabelle Wilson joins us next. You got an I love you, Annie. She was chosen for the Opera Omaha project for the 2023-2024 academic year. Her poem was among 102 submissions from K through 12 students in both Nebraska and Iowa. And we'll learn more about how her words were set to music in a little bit. First, I would love to hear some of your poetry, Annabelle.
My first poem is called Home. A place where you can always go. A place you can love and know. A place where you won't be judged. A place where you can relax and unplug. A place where you fit in. A place where everyone's the same but different. A place where you'll be loved. A place full of laughter and hugs. A place where no one's nosy. That makes you feel safe and cozy. This is a home to me. But this place only exists in my dreams. My next poem is called So Much, So Little. Do you ever feel like you've done so much, but accomplished so little? Like you turned over every stone, but there's a mountain that needs to be flipped over for it to be official? Or the answer for a question is on the tip of your tongue, but the words take so much energy and there's not enough oxygen on your lungs. Like you're on top of the world, but there's still a crushing weight on your chest. Like you try so hard, but what's needed is still so much more than your best. Like your heart says you can be done, or you've done all you can, but your brain tells you you didn't do enough, or didn't do nearly as much as you'd planned. Like you did everything you said you would, but still didn't reach the goal. Like halfway through, the plan changed and no one thought you were a person to console. Like you want to go to bed, but your mind won't let you sleep. Like you've accomplished so much, but maybe you had too little of a dream. My last poem is called The Light. The days are slow, but the weeks are fast, and suddenly 10 years has passed, and you're graduating, you're celebrating, you've learned to drive, and somehow you're supposed to thrive, survive on your own, all alone, barreling towards the unknown, without a hand to hold when things go dark, when times take a turn. No one to pull you out of your self-induced misery, no one to help you return to reality. What do you do then? How do you get yourself out of the hole you dug, out of your self-made bed? Don't go towards the light is what they always say, but every other way is darkness, and not the quiet, peaceful kind, the kind to make you grind your teeth and send shivers up your spine. So now you have a choice, darkness or light, a choice of blindness or sight. Choose the light. Trust me, the darkness is never right. The darkness consumes, the light guides. Let his light guide you. Turn and let the sun hit your face. Let the world roll off your shoulders, and let his light be with you through every slow day.
Thank you so much, Annabelle. Annabelle Wilson, those were her three poems, Home, So Much, So Little, and The Light. Congratulations to you, too, on being part of that project, and I hope you keep writing.
I will. It was such a great opportunity. Just like this one, I'm so grateful to be here.
Oh, my gosh, thank you. The poem chosen for the Opera Omaha Poetry and Music Project was set to music by a composer who has lived in the Philippines and Saudi Arabia, but spent most of his life in the U.S. His name is Sidney Marquez Bocarin. Did you know that his last name literally means farmland or to grow plants?
I didn't.
Which I thought was amazing because it's a project that's helping you grow. I just think that's a really neat thing. What was the music like that Bocarin wrote?
It was, it was opera, and it was beautiful. It really was, and I think it fully matched my poem. It really showed what I was trying to say, and
it was your first poem,
Yes.
Home, right, that was chosen for that project?
Yes.
Very nice. Did you get a lot of say in how the music would sound or turn out?
I did actually, yes. We did a virtual workshop, and I got to talk with Sidney, the composer, and the singer, and then I had a sort of music mentor that they assigned me, who kind of guided me through the workshop. And they did what they had, and I got to listen to it, and then I got to make a couple adjustments, and then they played the final draft, if you will, and it was beautiful.
That's amazing. What an experience. Your poem was one of 13 selected for this project. The composing happened in spring of 2024. So you're in 8th grade now. What do you think participating in the Poetry and Music Project did for your love of writing? How has your relationship with poems developed?
It made me realize that this was something that I could do later on in my life, and I could have sort of a career in. And it made me realize that this is something I'm good at, and it gave me a little bit of a confidence boost, and it really, it just made my love for poetry grow so much more.
Annabelle Wilson, friends, congratulations. Thanks for being here. We do have time for one more if you would like to take the mic over there. Yeah, Annabelle Wilson's going to read us one more. We have enough time for her poem, which is called Practice Makes Perfect, here on Friday Live.
Practice makes perfect, but I've practiced so hard, and yet I'm still so far from that thing, that feeling of peace, that word you say I'll someday achieve, that expectation I'm supposed to meet. The bar is set too high. There's nothing I can do but try to reach. But there's no guarantee when we're trying to fulfill an impossible dream.
Practice Makes Perfect, a poem from Annabelle Wilson. She was our poet today, and she has had other work published in addition to being chosen for the Opera Omaha Poetry and Music Project. There is more yet to come here on Friday Live, coming to you live from McCook this week at the Fox Theater. A famous writer of the plains is Laura Ingalls Wilder, whose books often described the weather. Dr. Barbara Bowstead is a meteorologist and Wilder scholar who researched the story's descriptions of tornadoes, blizzards, and floods. She detailed them in her book, Wilder Weather, featured on this week's All About Books. You can find the podcast online. That's nebraskapublicmedia.org/allaboutbooks. Support for programming on Nebraska Public Media comes from Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Midlands. To match the needs of boys on their wait list, the 60 Men in 60 Days campaign is underway until October for Big Brothers or Big Couples. Program information at bbbsmidlands.org. Support for Friday Live also comes from the Fox Theater, a showplace for the visual and performing arts in Southwest Nebraska. Learn more about upcoming events at foxtheatermccook.org. The Museum of the High Plains tells the story of the southwest part of Nebraska through artifacts, photographs, and exhibits that capture what life was like on the prairie. It's open Tuesday through Friday, 1 to 5, and Saturdays from 11 to 3. And this morning, we are joined by a longtime High Plains Historical Society board member, Sharon Bowling. She's going to guide us on kind of a survey here of some of the interesting discoveries that you can make at the museum. Welcome, Sharon.
Oh, well, thank you for having me.
I heard there's an interesting connection between the building that the museum is in and Kool-Aid.
Somebody set me up. Okay, so there is an exhibit in the museum that's modeled on the drugstore that used to be in Hendley, and Perkins developed not Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid is from Hastings, but Fruit Smack at the drugstore in Hendley. It was a different form of a fruit drink, and so we do have some old artifacts of. We don't have a Fruit Smack bottle, but we do have some old Kool-Aid things and some information on that.
Oh, that's pretty fun. I'm pretty sure you can learn more about that too in Andy Herman's Curious Nebraska if you look that up on our website as well. We recently had artist Thomas Nagley on the show on Friday Live. If listeners missed it, he painted Nebraska's German POW camps and his experiences there. How is the history of the camp in that period in Southwest Nebraska featured in the museum?
Well, we have a wonderful exhibit on the second floor with our military, included in our military exhibit of some of the paintings that the Indianola prisoner of war camp people did while they were at the camp. And that actually is one of my favorite things at the museum is the panels that were taken out of their barracks and brought to the museum in McCook.
What kinds of things would they paint?
Mostly people, but there were also paintings of the guard tower in the camp and different, a lot of smoking going on, but just daily life in the camp as seen by the prisoners.
That's pretty amazing. And it's a great way to view history, of course, through art.
Right.
Yeah. Girl Scout cookie season, Sharon, is not going to be long from here. A couple months, probably. Tell us about the museum's iron lung and how that connects to the Girl Scouts.
Okay. I'm not sure. Linda would know better the year. I don't know the year, but the Girl Scout troop in McCook were responsible for raising the money to purchase an iron lung for the hospital in McCook at the time of the polio epidemic. And we do have that exhibit at the museum as part of our medical supplies.
Wow.
The iron lung. Reaction from the children that come in to see it now is varied, but sometimes they want to know if it's a time machine. And
I mean, in a way.
That's just, yeah, well, yes, it is definitely a time, and we hope not to go back to that time.
Yeah, for sure. Do we have Girl Scouts in the audience who've sold cookies? No? Nobody's selling cookies in this audience? I am. Oh, I'm kind of sad, actually.
Not yet, but when you do sell them, come to my door. I'm happy to buy.
There you go, right? I just wondered if anybody else had raised funds for an iron lung, because that seems pretty rare. You currently have an exhibit on marching bands. Why are these important to Nebraska's history?
Well, I love marching band, and I tell people all the time the only reason I never went to the University of Nebraska in Lincoln is they didn't allow girls in their marching band in my era. That was before Title IX. But we had it up during September for the Heritage Days celebration in McCook, and there are bands that participate in the parade. We would like to get more bands to come back to the parade, but we had, there was a plaque from 1928 when the McCook High School Band won an award from the State Marching Association, and we had different displays of the uniforms throughout the years. And one of the features of that was in 1972, for the inauguration of President Nixon, the McCook Band was chosen to go and represent Nebraska, so that was also included.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, how did you get involved first with the Museum of the High Plains, Sharon?
That would be the fault of Cloyd Clark, who was on the board at the time, and they were looking for new people, and he took me with him to a meeting, and as they say, the rest is history. I've been on it for a long time.
Cloyd Clark, just for listeners across the state who don't know who he is, has been involved in many projects in this part of the state.
Oh, right. He got lots of people to do, to fulfill his dreams. So he's the reason that I'm on the board, but I am enjoying it tremendously. And we are, well, let me just say that we do have the Sheldon Art Exhibit as one of the places in Nebraska that it comes, and that will be on display at the museum all throughout the month of November. And if you're listening and haven't yet renewed your membership with the High Plains Historical Society, there's a members-only event for that coming up on November 3rd.
You're the woman for the job.
Shameless plug.
Do you yourself have a favorite exhibit at the museum?
Well, I'm a former librarian, so I'm kind of partial to the Carnegie Library, which is also attached to the museum. But as I said before, I really like the Prisoner of War one. That's one of my favorites.
And that Carnegie building, how old is that? Do you know the year, or roughly?
I should.
I put you on the spot.
1928, 7, I'm not sure. It's
Amazing,
only
'cause-
outside of the building, though, and it's right across the street.
Okay, we'll go
So
look.
check
We'll
that
check
out
after
on
the
your way
show.
out of the show.
The theater that we're in today, by the way, was built in 1926, opened in January of 1927. So I feel like the 20s was a good time for McCook, maybe. There was like a little burst of, architecture and stuff. Well, Sharon, anything else you want our listeners to know about the Museum of the High Plains?
Just that we have programming for children and for adults. On the third, we've been involved in the Creative District's third Thursday to have children's activities, and those will continue in November. There's a fall festival the third Thursday, and Santa Claus and the Jingle Jangle Jamboree is coming the third Thursday in December. So kids, bring your parents and come to the museum.
Awesome. The Museum of the High Plains. Yes, go ahead. The Museum of the High Plains. They've got hours Tuesday through Friday from 1 to 5 and Saturdays 11 to 3. They've got that Sheldon statewide exhibit that's coming in November. All kinds of things going on. And I've been speaking here with High Plains Historical Society board member Sharon Bowling. Thank you so much for coming out today.
Thank you for having me.
And for more information on the museum, or of course anything that you hear about on our show today, go to the Friday Live page. That's online at nebraskapublicmedia.org. My next guest has performed everywhere from right here in Nebraska to South Korea at the Seoul Metropolitan Ballet Company, which is pretty wild. He has a performance on this same stage at the Fox Theater at 3 p.m. this Sunday, and I'll get to talk with him about his music, the concert this Sunday, and much more. But first, we get to hear him with a piece of music that he will tell me what it is after he plays it. Absolutely incredible. I hope the piano is still okay. That's some power.
I haven't broken a bass string yet, but someday I think I'm going to. I hope it's not Sunday.
Yeah, I
This is a
hope it's
beautiful
not
piano.
Sunday. So, I haven't said his name yet. This is Philip Daniel, Nebraska-based composer and pianist, with us here at the Fox
Thank
Theater. So glad to have you with us on this Friday Live here in McCook. You've been with us in Lincoln a couple times, and yeah, this is great to be in this gorgeous space. For those who aren't familiar with Philip's music, he's composed film music, dance music. There's a number of albums of solo work, and has dabbled in a few different styles of music making. You also have other monikers online, right?
Yeah.
You want to shout those out?
Yeah, I write music for films and dance for a career, and tour and write my own solo music, kind of neoclassical piano meets electronic ambient. And so I release music under my name, but then also under different side projects with different kind of genres, which you'll hear Sunday. There's going to be a lot of solo piano like I played, but a lot of synthesizers with percussion, drum machines mixed with piano, really epic, like, yeah, music with a lot of live looping too, so building layers live. So that's just my pitch for all of you guys to come, because if all of you guys come, that would be incredible, and it would be absolutely full. So
Yeah. What's the one with the M that you
Oh.
release music under?
Okay, that's a good question. My in-laws are actually from McCook, and I have this side project with electronic music, and I named it Madrin because my in-laws are the Madrins. I don't know. I'm sure people
Some
here know
Madrins
them.
in the audience?
Yeah, let's give it up for them.
So I've got a couple of fun facts for you, Philip. One fun fact is, unlike, as they say in air quotes, the kids these days, you know when Spotify gives you the roundup of whatever you've been listening to that year? Mandarin
Yeah.
was my highest listen.
Wow. That's amazing. Thank you.
Now, I mean, I love you, but it's probably also my only listen on Spotify, so you rose to the top
Okay.
pretty quickly, but it was a good listen, I will say.
Thank you. Thank you.
Here is another fun fact for listeners. Philip Daniel was one of the first contributors of original music for the Nebraska Public Media series, What If?, which is a series that tells stories about innovation and creativity. He is one of 40 Nebraska composers who have contributed since the series started. So if we have composers in the audience, you can find out more about that as well on our website, nebraskapublicmedia.org. You sometimes play acoustic like you are for us today, and you mentioned you sometimes go electric with a keyboard and a laptop, sometimes both. So what all can audience expect from this Sunday?
Yeah, like I said, it'll be a mixture of both. I'll be doing like a lot of solo piano, like you heard, but then also like the latter half of the program is a lot of electronic music mixed with piano. It's going to be loud, it's going to be epic, and I think, yeah, it'll be really fun. Like I said, live looping too. Then I played percussion in high school, so I have electronic drum samples I use with a drum pad mixed with all sorts of things. It'll get crazy, so yeah, please come.
How do you remember what you're doing?
I don't. It's a lot of it's improvisation, but a lot of it's based off simple chord progression. So it's not. I play a lot of notes, but it's very simple structure to it.
I almost feel like sometimes the more simple things are harder to remember. There's kind of a thing, you've probably experienced this as a musician practicing. You practice the really hard stuff so much, and then in the performance, it's the easy stuff that falls away.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Do you have a method? Do you see the music in your head?
I don't know, but now you're making me worried I'm going
I'm
to
so
have
sorry.
memory lapse.
You'll be great. You have been touring. Where have you been? Where were you before this? And then where do you go after you do your Sunday McCook show?
Yeah, I a couple weeks ago I was in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Chicago, played a small tour there, and then this whole weekend I've been basically a tour of Western Nebraska and Kansas. I played in Colby last night at the Community College Theater, worked with 2 local schools during the day, got to talk to kids about what I do as a film composer and careers in music, and then I'm going to be in McCook Public Schools all day today and playing for a couple of retirement homes, and then tomorrow going down to play in Atwood, Kansas, a solo show, then back here Sunday to play a concert, and then back to Atwood to do school workshops. And then, in a couple weeks I go up to North Dakota, Minneapolis, and do a couple then, and then kind of bunker down for the winter, and yeah.
Amazing. I kind of teased, I guess, or mentioned at the top of the show about your trip to South Korea. And I'd like to mention that again, even though we've talked about it on Friday Live before, just for our audience here today. What was that project about?
Yeah, actually the majority of what I do, commission work, is for dance companies. So I write solo music like this, and then they'll use it for performances. And randomly, like a year ago, choreographer found me on Instagram, and he got commissioned to create a ballet for the country of Korea's first ever modern ballet company. And it was the inaugural performance, and he just found me on Instagram randomly, and he hired me to create the music for this ballet. And then he was like, oh, by the way, we want to fly you to Korea and perform it live. And it was in front of like 10,000 people on this massive stage with 50 dancers and like a massive set. And so I'll play that original music Sunday. So we'll not play it now so that it, motivates you guys to come Sunday.
There
once
you go.
again.
Holding a little bit back.
Yeah.
A little bit back.
But
Tell me about the piece that you just played.
That piece is called This Too Could Change. A couple years ago, I did a residency up in Iceland where I just wrote music for a month and lived there. And that was a piece that came from that time.
And we have time for 2 more pieces. So I'm gonna have you play your second piece, and then we'll chat a little bit more, and then play your third piece.
Okay.
And I'm hoping you'll stick around and just like play us out of the show too.
Yeah.
I'm swinging that on him here during a live radio broadcast. That's fun.
I didn't know
I think he
that,
can
but-
handle it. Yeah, you didn't know
Oh,
that.
gosh.
So what's the second piece we're gonna hear, Philip?
I still haven't decided.
Excellent.
The second and third were actually a pair, but I can.
Okay.
I'll do a different one. There's a piece I actually recently wrote. Got commissioned to write an opera with the Salt Creek Song Festival back in Ashland, Nebraska, and so I wrote my style music with 3 baritones set to Walt Whitman's Song of Myself. So it was, I've never written for vocals ever. I've never written a single note on a piece of paper either. And so it was a very daunting process, and it was really cool what came out of it. But this is the finale, and there's poetry over the top of it, spoken. So it's a Song of Myself.
Okay. I'm going to let you tell us what the title of that was again.
It was. There's no. It's
There's no
called
title.
Finale
Finale.
to the whole.
By Philip
opera.
Daniel. I, for listeners who can't see us, am sitting right next to this
Sorry.
piano with the lid open. Don't apologize. I feel like this is the true definition of a sound bath. It's like sitting under a waterfall, but the water is music. It's great.
And
Thank
the
you.
water is really loud and vicious.
It's all right. I'm enjoying it. Well, Philip, this is the point in our interview where I'm going to go way back for you. I hear that at Hastings College, Jonathan Sakasitz, your piano teacher, would make you play all your assigned music first, and then, and only then, could you play your latest composition. In what ways do you think that this approach benefited you as a student?
That's a good question. I was not prepared for it. Yeah, I studied classical piano with Dr. Sakasitz, and just through like undergrad, he pushed me because I was way behind. I chose sports over music in high school, which I regretted. So I was way behind technically, and he pushed me to spend like 5 to 7 hours a day in the practice room practicing classical, which is way harder than anything I ever write technically. And so it was just those years of just dedicating to build my technique with him that I feel like paid off now as a pianist, writing my own stuff, because now I feel like I know the theory behind composing because I was immersed in Beethoven, Bach, Chopin, and technically able to play stuff that's, somewhat difficult.
Amazing. What are your memories of the Gladys Frisch Harris Piano Festival, and what is it?
Ooh, I haven't thought about that in decades. That does remind me, though. I think is there Vicki Harris or Sue Harris? Is she from here? Okay, I was on scholarship at Hastings College, a piano scholarship from her, and she was like a champion of music, and I think she's from McCook. Yeah, and I got to play a memorial for her one time at Hastings College. But yeah, she had a huge impact on like music in Nebraska, and I was a beneficiary of one of her scholarships, which is pretty neat. But
Amazing, just amazing. When you're playing, what do you think about?
not to mess up. No, I'm kidding. Just hopefully emoting the emotion in the music, because that's my goal as an artist, is to really make people feel things through my music.
Beautiful. Okay, so I'm watching the clock. How long is the last piece that you want to play?
I can play whatever time.
Okay, cool. 4 minutes,
Yeah.
roughly speaking.
Yeah.
Okay.
These are a combination, but I'll make both of them smaller. They're kind of a suite.
I
with 2
love that
movements.
we're doing this on the fly.
Okay.
Do you want to tell us what you're going to play?
The first one, well, it's like 2 movements. They're kind of one piece, but 2 parts. The first one's Brilliance, and the second one's Blank Canvas. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Philip Daniel, composer and pianist. He's earned degrees from Hastings College in Performance and Pedagogy. He has a graduate degree from the University of Missouri, Kansas City Conservatory. He has double-digit numbers of albums out under various names. And this Sunday, he gives a concert in McCook here on this very stage at the Fox Theater at 3 p.m. He is also going to play us out for our show today. Just whatever you want to noodle. I guess you are. I've sprung it on you on live radio here, Philip. Thanks for playing today.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Coming up this morning on Nebraska Public Media, music from Nebraska stages on Nebraska Concerts hosted by Laura Black. And this afternoon, Penelope Morrow celebrates the weekend and brings you classics by request. Be sure to visit the Nebraska Public Media website for podcasts of the show at nebraskapublicmedia.org or subscribe to the Friday Live podcast using your favorite podcast service. Special thanks this week to audio engineer Jared Stutzman, radio operations engineer Brendan Rook, and radio network director Kathy Bradbury, all of my colleagues at Nebraska Public Media, and huge thank you to Charles Coleman at the Fox Theater for hosting us, our wonderful live audience here today. Thank you so much. Everything we do at Nebraska Public Media is possible only with members who donate. This podcast version of our weekly radio show Friday Live, podcasts of our television show Backyard Farmer, and so much more, all of it is thanks to donors, underwriters, and other private support. You can support Nebraska Public Media online at nebraskapublicmedia.org.